Hello, everybody, and welcome. There we go. Get rid of that to our half marathon talk special. I'm joined by my colleague Hayden Harbord. He's here to talk about half marathons, which is our second favourite subject after Joe Wicks. What? We just done a podcast, and basically Hayden hammered Joe Wicks. I mean, hammered him.
No.
I think he was a bit unfair about him. I'll be honest.
Let people listen and make up their own minds.
Yeah, so we just recorded an uncensored parkrun edition. Go and check that out. I think that'll probably come out before this. Anyway, we're here to talk about half marathons because we love half marathons. Do you love half marathons as much as you love marathons?
Do you know what? I think I'm going to... I like the process of the marathon, the lead up to it, whereas half doesn't have so much of a lead up. But actual race day and excitement, they're both on par, I think. I do like them both. They're great. Fantastic.
Like choosing between your kids, isn't it? It's true, like, and I tell you what, and this week's half marathon talk, by the way, is more of a general chat about half marathons, in a way, because I tell you what made me realize again how much I love the half marathon. We just did the Southend half marathon, right? So it's a good example to talk about, I think. Now, it's got nothing to do with the fact I ran my fastest time. That actually, because that's not what I was there for. But what I liked about it was the fact that it was a real test, but it was like a manageable test. Does that make any sense? And I liked the cat and mouse strategy within the race, like of not pushing too hard, but still to push. And the course played a little bit of a part in there. But I was sort of over and done with in enough time to then enjoy seeing like loads of my mates and coming in afterwards. And it wasn't like a full day out sort of thing. It just made me again realize, because I don't think I've done many of them this year, how much I absolutely loved the half marathon. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know where I'm coming at?
Oh, yeah, actually, do you know what? This is going to... I'm going to jump. It's normally you that throw the curveball. I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball today, actually. For the next 5 minutes or so, I think it'd be quite interesting. So you run a PB on Sunday, which is fantastic. Well done. Why don't you talk us through a little bit? I think it'd be quite interesting if we do it maybe in 5K chunks. Going out for you say you weren't going out for a PB, but you was in good form and the PB could have been on. So talk to us a little bit. We should go through like 0 to 5K, how you felt, what you was thinking, how hard it was. Then we go 5 to 10, maybe 10, 15, then go the last 5. Why don't we talk it through the half marathon?
Okay. No, that's a good episode. Actually,
yeah, people might be out there thinking,
I will delete what I was going to talk about. Okay. And but no, this is I like these. And let's go back a step.
Yep.
Set the moon and set the scene, as we like to do in storytelling. So so people are aware of where I'm at. I'm about to start another marathon training block. I've been in a maintenance program since London Marathon. So my sort of top end has come off a little bit, which you'd expect, because you've got to let yourself heal and recover and things like that. And I've had some fun and games since then. I've been doing gym work and all that sort of stuff. The point of the Southend half marathon in the calendar for me was a social event. But at the same time, I'd earmarked it as my last event to see where I was at physically and mentally, which I'll come on to before I go into the training block. So it gave me a great bit of data that would actually shape the first 4 to 6 weeks of my marathon training, believe it or not, because it gave me a real eye-opener of where I was at. So that's what I was using it for. The actual time that I ran, to be perfectly honest with you, was irrelevant. In fact, it was a PB. Great. But that's not that it was there for. The output, as I always say, with my training is irrelevant. And the time was irrelevant. It was the output of how I got there. So that's
what makes this going to be different. Because I want to know your process, your thoughts going through at that point when you start to realize, maybe this is on. This would be great. Let's hear
right.
About it.
So I was running with Nick, who was pacing me, because I've been wanting to sneeze for about 10 minutes because I'd said to him, I'd like to go somewhere around 1:30, right? And as somebody, Ben can't obviously because he's got his bad hip. Oh, bless him. So Nick stepped up and said, I'll run that 40 because he's an absolute machine. So we set off. We hadn't actually agreed a pace, But my plan because I know the course very well, so my plan was to start in the first, and I hate using kilometers, but I will because it's you. But the first 5 kilometers, my whole plan was to see what pace I settled into. Now, obviously, Nick was aware of what 1:30 pace looked like. I wasn't focusing in on that. I was actually, and he'll tell you, I was running to Phil in the first 5K. We referenced it after a mile. So what's that?
1.6.
Yeah,
2K.
yeah, 2K. We referenced it at 2K to see where I'd settled in. And I'd actually settled in at about, you're going to have to convert this, 6:53, 6:50 per mile. So under that 7-minute miles. What's that in kilometers? 4:30?
I'll say it's a bit less than that. I'll say it's about 4:25.
Okay.
4:24. Yeah.
I'd settled very easily into that pace. And when I say very easily, I was managing it because I was talking a lot. That's how I had an assessment of where I was. So when I said to him, "Where are we at?" I wasn't basing that on anything other than the fact that it was very conversational. I mean, we was just chewing the cud like you do with your mates on when you run. We was chatting about all sorts of shit, but we was actually down at that pace that would have got me under 1:30. So for the first 5K, that's the only thing I was thinking about was how hard and how easy is life feeling at this conversational pace, and what does that relate to? Because that first part of that course, that first 5K, is the sort of weavy section where you've got houses and stuff like that, and then you come out onto the seafront. So that's basically the first 5K for me. Was about.
So did you have in your head for the first 5K at any point, did you think, same as most people do, have I gone out too fast? Am I
No.
up on this pace because the race has just started and that adrenaline?
No.
Right.
Because my conversation was conversational. Because I was talking and I wasn't out of breath, and I was, don't get me wrong, we wasn't doing chapter and verse, but you know, it's like, I was chatting. I was chatting about certain things. They weren't massive, like, but we was talking about stuff. But the pace, when he referenced it, because I'll never forget, he said, "Yeah, we're bang on 1:30 pace," and that was because we was right by the cricket field. So that immediately said to me, oh, "Okay, that's interesting. This could be an interesting day because I've settled into this pace." I did about 10K a couple of weeks before. I was struggling to get anywhere near that pace in the first 5K. That actually come out on the vlog, Chasing Dream series, but I struggled to get into that pace naturally. So immediately I knew that day that I wasn't going to be going anywhere. Where that day on Sunday, that first 5K, I felt, because of the way I was feeling, that I was in control of my heart rate. I was in control of my pace. I was in control of my running economy. I felt really nice. I talk about it when I review shoes, but I feel like I know when I'm running well because I get into, I call it a lope. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Anybody who rides horses in America will know what I'm talking about. It's a real nice, as cowboys, yeah. Most of the time we're in trot, but you can pick up. It's basically a canter, but it's like a lope, and it's a really nice. And if you see a cowboy loping, you'll know exactly. You're into the saddle, you're in deep, and the horse is just gliding underneath you. The two of you are connected, but it's a real nice rhythm to how you're riding. And I reference that as my running. I feel my stride's really nice. I feel like I'm hitting the sweet spot on the ball, not on the balls of my feet, but just slightly back. I'm bouncing off of it. It's so effortless, and I'm covering ground like a horse would when we're loping really nicely. Real nice momentum, a real nice rhythm. That's what, and I felt that. And I like to look for running shoes that give me that feeling. And I was wearing Pumas. But my point is, I had that rhythm as well early doors. So again, when I feel like that, my tail goes up a little.
Builds confidence. Yeah.
My tail goes up a little bit. So I'm talking a lot. I've got my loping sensation, my rhythm, and I'm very much in control of what's around me in the first 5K.
Have you fueled? Any fuel?
Yes, interestingly, I fueled before I went out. I was experimenting.
Okay.
So I fueled 30 minutes. I had a gel before I went out. First time I'd done it in a half.
No water?
No water with it.
No, I mean the first 5K because there was water on course virtually.
Yeah,
I took it.
I took a sip of water. Yeah. because it's a hot day. I'll always, if there's an aid station, I'll always take it and just have a sip. So yeah, I went through there. So yeah, got into that. And then the next 5K you want to go through?
Yeah.
Next 5K, basically, I just settled into that pace. And what was actually really nice, actually, I'll go from 5 to 10. I'll go actually a little bit more because, and this is the total opposite of what I like. But the 130 pacer was right just behind us. We actually went back into him and we sat in a pack.
Okay.
And we felt that because it was quite windy going down. Me and Nick, we actually said to each other, this is actually quite nice sitting in here. And I hate pacers, not them, but the packs again, the way I'm built. But it wasn't a crowded pack. It was like 5 runners maybe. And because we were all running at sub 130 pace, I was able to sit in there and carry on talking because they were shielding me from the wind. And I sat in there, and that actually, again, really helped us, me and Nick, do the first lap. We got up to the end of the thing, to be honest with you, without even knowing we'd done it. So, we was, whatever that was at the end, 10K, I don't even know what it is. But I hadn't even thought about anything because, again, I was running 100% to feel. 100% to feel. And I tell this to my runners that I coach. I love to work them to the fact that they know what they're doing and how that feels. I knew that I was at that pace. That I was in that zone. I was in, let's say, 130 pace because I could just feel it. I knew I wasn't out of breath, but it was an effort. But I wasn't out of breath.
How far off was you? Let's say, I was referencing for other people if they're trying to go for a PB. How far off was you of your sort of 10K real effort? If you went out tomorrow, we said let's go do Battersea Park 10K real effort. How far off was you from that as opposed to the half marathon?
So my 10K pace to go under 40 minutes is 6:20 something per mile.
And that's what you'd run. Yeah, effort.
I was running at which is what I run at Winter 10K.
Yeah.
I was running this at about 650 to 655 per mile.
Okay. So looking at about 35 seconds a mile. So you're looking at about, okay. Right.
Yeah. Give you a rest.
Just give reference to people. Some people have gone out there thinking, how do I pace this? Do I go out on my 10K pace and hold on? You're saying back off.
But the idea was, and this is what Nick was kept egging me on. And I kept saying, yeah, that's fine. We weren't dropping the hammer. We was, if you go onto my Strava, and you've seen the splits, how even those splits were. That they were like a pacing. If you could write how to pace a half marathon, go and look at my splits. We was on point. But again, right, this will make you laugh. We wasn't aiming for those splits. That's how I felt. He was with me, in a nice way, ignore Nick. I was controlling my own pace, and he was just staying with me. He was very much going to what I was doing. But I knew that I was clipping up because my pace hadn't dropped at all. And I was extremely comfortable in it. And again, I was running to feel I was able to talk. My heart rate wasn't extending. My breathing was under control. I had that loping sensation that I had underneath me. And I was 100% in control. I feel, just before you ask, I fueled at mile 4 effectively. So again, I don't know what that is in kilometers.
About 7K.
Yeah, I fueled there. And then I took my next gel at 9.5 miles. So just before the 10-mile mark.
So you've done two. You've done 2 gels now before 10K.
Yeah, because I took one before I went out.
Yeah.
But I would say I was belching a hell of a lot, by the way. it wasn't a good look. But anyway, so I settled in. Then we made the turn, and I felt great. And then at about mile 7, I sort of had to go into race mode. Which is in a nice way to Nick, because he loves to chat and I love running with him. I almost closed him out. I love the feeling of having him next to me. It's like when I run with Ben, I love having the feeling of him next to me or just slightly in front of me because I don't have to think about it. And I love the fact that they're there, that support network. But I basically then got into my own self. I told him I'm into this. He kept checking on me, but I got into that. At mile 7, I was like, right, now I need to go to war. The effort started to feel a little bit harder, as it should.
Yep.
We're
over halfway. So
I had to maintain my form, and I had to maintain the focus was key here, because what can happen at that point is that the brain starts to go, and that's when the doubts start to come in, and then you go off. So at mile 7, my only focus was to get to the turnaround, which is mile 9. I think it's mile 9. It might be, yeah, I think it's mile 9. But anyway, I said to myself, I just want to get 2 miles more done at this pace, steady, and I'll sort of reflect. So I went into myself, I put my headphones on, and I got into it, carried on trying to maintain form, always thinking about that because I'm trying to run efficiently. We were still slightly behind the pace. I don't know how that happened because they started behind us and we're running at 130 pace. But again, they always try to run a little bit quick, don't they? And that's good. So I stuck there, and my brain, I wouldn't say went to mush. It actually went into a hard place, and it was like, right, you just need to maintain this. I sort of zoned out, if I'm honest.
And what distance is this at where you're getting these feelings down?
9 miles is when. 9 miles is when. So between 7 and 9, I sort of zoned out because I just knew. Again, don't forget, I've run down that South and Seaboard a hell of a lot, so I know exactly where I am.
Yeah.
But I knew at 9 miles, if I turn, then the race starts for me in the half marathon. Mile 9, mile 10 is pretty much where the race, I believe, in a half marathon starts. Pretty much like a marathon, you say 20 miles, isn't it? But the fact that I was able to maintain that pace, hold it, sensible, felt very much in control. I was speeding up, slowing down. Like if I've got a cup of water, Nick would carry on and I'd speed up, catch him up.
So we're at kilometre 16. How different? So I'm basing all this on. Let's just say that right now, times are irrelevant. Let's just say you've run the perfect half marathon here because you've PB'd. So
it was a perfect. If you look at the splits, it was a perfect half marathon.
So whoever's going to run our half marathon, if they want to give it a go, these are good tips. How different we're talking now with you? We're about kilometre 15, 16. How different does kilometre 15 or 16 feel to kilometre 5 or 6? How different?
I changed my mindset. I'd gone from, let's go and see what this feels like, see what sort of shape I'm in today, but enjoying it, chatting, pretty carefree, loving life, that sort of thing, to I've been able to maintain this pace now up until this point. So this is now turning into a serious run versus I'm just having a good time with Nick. It changed its dynamic at that sort of mile 7 to 9 because I was still comfortably holding that pace. I wasn't getting in my own way. My form was still good, and I was holding the splits pretty well because obviously you get the alarms and still bang on 650 something. We're feeling all right. Again, I'm not sitting here. I'm not someone who's hanging on to my watch. No. I'm very much running to feel here. So I then got there. So and at mile 9 to 11 was all about maintaining my pace. Yeah, I went into sort of a maintain mode where I was like, I don't want this to slip, but I don't want to go too hard because I know from mile 11, there's a hill, obviously, but I know that I will have to dig deep or probably going to have to dig deep. So I held back. Now, that there was where, I make you laugh, I lost the 13 seconds. So for anybody who doesn't know, I ran a 1:30, 13 seconds, right? And we was on 1:29 and change pace the whole way. That from that mile 9 to 11 is where I lost those 13 seconds because I didn't have the confidence, and that's me, and that's everybody's different. I didn't have the confidence to push a fraction more, because I was worried about the little hill blowing up from mile 11 because I know the course from when you come up the hill, you have that long stretch along the houses before you turn. And that for me was always the area which I was going to struggle, and I didn't want to struggle there. So what I did was I just said to myself, no, if I keep hitting around 7-minute miles, I've got this in the bag. It's the wrong attitude.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't you think? I was going to say to you, sorry to interrupt. Shouldn't a strategy? You should be thinking around a half marathon distance in particular that it is going to hurt and it is going to be hard.
Oh yeah,
not blowing up, but it's going to hurt. So you've got to accept that almost.
But my brain works very different to a lot of people. Yeah, as we know. And that questions that that sort of buffer that I put in place was purely a lack of confidence in myself. And you know, because you know me well, I lack confidence in the marathon. You've been there with me. I lack confidence in the 10K. I lack confidence in my own ability mid-race. And that's because usually I've got in my own way and I'm getting anxious. Like I've been in races where I can't breathe because I'm having a panic attack, yeah, because I'm getting too much into my own brain. So the anxiety kicks in and I'm like, no, 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 just hold it, just hold it, just hold it, just hold it. Miley, I've done the hill. I shuffled up the hill. You're welcome. He filmed me for that, by the way. Thanks, Nick, for that. I cleared the hill and I was absolutely fine. Now, he said to me after, he thought from that hill I was going to slow down. But actually, I maintained and sped up a little bit because I'd cleared, again, the way my brain works, my anxious brain, I'd cleared that sort of
barrier
that I put in my own brain because I thought in my own brain that's where I was going to hurt. I didn't. And I flew around the last section. He'll tell you I had so much pace left in the tank, but I kept saying to myself, no, you only need this. But what I should have been saying is now's the time to push.
Let's go.
Believe in yourself. But I didn't. And that's where the 13 seconds were actually gone between 9 and 11 because I kept just saying to myself, no, just hold it. You're going to blow up. But that's the mental battle that you have. And
so should people set themselves like you did? Do you think it's a good idea if people set themselves sort of like not a barrier, but maybe a reference point? And I think to yourself, do you know what? On that half marathon at mile 8 or kilometer 13, I need to get there to see what I feel like. Do you think setting them sort of things on the way, that helps?
100%. You need to set targets throughout the race. Like I said to you, 5K, I'm settling in. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm settling in. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Next 5K, I'm doing this, this, and this. 7 miles, as I said to you, right, I'm going into myself here. Maybe I didn't need to go into myself. Maybe I should have carried on talking to Nick up until mile 9 and gone into myself at mile 9. It's all ifs and buts, isn't it? But I've gone into myself at mile 7 because I wanted to control myself and not let myself slip. Because Nick's talking to me, but I'm thinking about this is hurting, this is hurting, this is, or I might be, I'm worried about myself thinking this is hurting, although I wouldn't. So with somebody talking to me, I'd rather go into my own inward self and protect myself. It's just the way I work. It's just the way my brain's wired, yeah? But that's the way I look at it and I recommend it to people. Set yourself, if you're going out to do something, set yourself milestones throughout it. Again, I'm lucky I knew the course really well. So I know at which points, but you can reference it as distances, as times, or whatever, and ask the questions. I always say about the marathon, get to halfway, literally do a full body scan of yourself. Do you feel all right? Yeah, okay. Now make a decision what you're going to do. You should have had a strategy A, strategy B, strategy C, but pick one of those strategies and do one of them at halfway. When you get to mile 16, I'm talking about the marathon now. Yeah. Again, review. Now, you've got a choice. You're on a crossroads. Which one are you going to pick? I'm going to carry on pushing. I'm going to maintain. I'm going to ease back. Whatever. It's the same in the half marathon, same in the 10K. But I picked deliberately because of what happened in the first 5K, gave me, right, we're now, this is what's happening. So now you've got a choice to do this. So I chose, right, we seem to be actually comfortably at a decent pace here. So let's see what's there today. Mile 7, I made a decision to go inwards. But I thought all I need to do is get to mile 9 because at mile 9, I can then make a decision whether to push or maintain. I took the easy option.
You didn't. You didn't take the easy option. That's been harsh yourself. The easy option would have been to drop off.
Back off. I suppose, yeah. In fairness, yeah. But for me, in reflection, I took the easy option. Again, always hard on yourself. I was pleased the way I ran that mile 11 to 12 because the hill and that long back straight that I hate. I hate going along there. I do it every year. I hate it every year. It's awful bit. But I hate that. And as soon as we get in the park, I know I'm home and dry. Although it's definitely not 800 meters where they say it's 800 meters. But I've got no problem there. And I said to Nick, yeah, I'm hurting, but I'm enjoying it because I like that part of gritting in because I know I've got, let's say 800 meters, right, half a mile, whatever. I ain't got a problem with that. But as I said, I broke the race down, but I broke it down as I was going through it. So I was living the race. I think a lot of that comes from experience.
Yeah.
But you will have a better half marathon if you do what I say, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What point do you honestly think? Do you really think? Do you know what this is on today, PB? At what point are we talking 5, closer to 5K, 10K, 15K? No, obviously, you never ever know until you got that last mile, and you always got a doubt that something's going to go wrong. But
I
there must have been a
knew
point where you thought, "Do you know what this is on?"
in the first 5K.
Yeah, and I honestly believe that is a lot about a half marathon. I think I bet for take injuries away and blowing up things out. I think a lot of people will know in a half marathon, the first 5K, if it's on today. But you just need the confidence which you got that day to continue that on. And I think
And I
that's the
put that down.
magical
I'll
of
be
half
honest, I put
marathon.
that down to Nick. Yeah, Nick
Yeah,
gave me the
that's good.
belief because
Yeah.
he was running free and running easy, and I run better with people when they're running free and easy.
And that's the difference with a half and the full, like you said. I don't think you realise on a full if a PB's on till probably halfway. You need to run about the half marathon and get into
Yeah, I'd even
possibly
say
up
16 miles.
probably up to about 18 miles
16.
before you
Yeah.
realise. Whereas with a
Yeah.
half, I think quite early on, if
You
you're
do.
honest with
You
yourself
do
and
know.
you've got the
Yeah, you do.
confidence, you know.
You could also say the same in the 10 to a degree, the 10K. But your 10K, you go out hard.
Yeah.
You've got to go out hard and hang on. Where a half, you can always be strategic. And yeah, you are right. You know, as I said, I'm very much a runner to feel. And I know if I know first if I'm in the right headspace. Because that's a massive thing for me. Massive. You know how early I went into the wave. Just want to be on my own, get away from stuff. So I'm very much a runner who's in my own way, in my head. But if everything connects, very much like when we ran Chicago together, if everything connects and I'm not troubled up here, then I can run pretty much anything I want.
So it's fashionable at the moment to negative split a marathon. Would you say the best pacing strategy for a half is even pacing, even splits?
Yeah.
Why is the difference between that and the full marathon being progressive race?
I think with a half marathon, it's a little bit harder to take a big chunk out of it. As much, I mean, you've got to set off at a reasonable pace to get the momentum. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you start too slow, it's very hard to get that back. You're going to have to run a very quick second half in half marathon because the distance is so much shorter. Where with a marathon, you can really nicely blend it out over the whole race. You know what I mean? You've got the time to blend it out. Where a half, I think a half is very much momentum driven. You know,
so what's harder, running a marathon PB, or as we're on half marathon talk today,
running a half
all
day long?
Still say marathon
because those mental battles that I had only lasted 2 mile. Marathon, they can last 26 miles. It's true. It's a bloody long way.
Yeah.
Half marathon's a bloody long way. But my point is that, you know, you're through 10K. You're like, oh, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
And you can't, as I said to you, a half marathon is very much about momentum. Where I think a marathon is very much strategic and up here. You can see it with the elites, the way they run it. In terms of that, where the half, they go out hard from the start, if you think about it. Most of the guys do. They progressively get quicker. You could argue, is it a bit of a progressive run more than a negative split? Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably a fairer way to look at it, actually.
Yeah.
Is that it's more of a progressive one, so those splits. But look what I did. I even split it the whole way through. But I was like, bang on.
And this is the thing, the process of it, and it works. So we're talking about having confidence, talking about even splitting. These are great tips. Tell us about in total fueling gel wise throughout the whole 21K. How many gels you done?
So including the one I took 30 minutes beforehand, 3.
Is that normal for you, or is that more than normal, or did you do?
I would take 3, but usually I would do them in the race. So right. I went one earlier, and did it that way around to try it. Not 100% convinced. Obviously, you should say actually it worked because look at the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And how you felt in the first 5K. You could argue, is that down to the fueling? But ask Nick, he had to sit there and listen to me burp for an hour and 30 minutes.
Let's give our biggest tips there. This half marathon talk. We normally talk about the actual half marathon races, which we can do, but this is bit more coaching focus, which I think is fantastic. Because for people that love half marathon, listen to this, they might pick up some good tips. Let's give our top 2 or 3 tips that you would literally.
Well, I would
running a half
counter
marathon.
my argument now, what I just said, and I would say fuel it properly.
Yeah.
Fuel it correctly.
No, I'm talking about tips for racing a half marathon. Yeah. So
yeah,
absolutely.
100%. Fuel it correctly. Yeah, fuel it
You did
correctly.
say
Again, make sure you fuel it correctly. If you're going to do the race, make sure you definitely fuel it correctly. So that's important. Don't compare yourself to what people are doing around you in terms of the paces of what they're going off at. Again, you could get caught up in that early doors. That tends to lead to you running too hard, that sort of thing. And I would go back to what we said about the strategy side of things, making sure you've got an idea of what you're going to do before you start the race. A, B, C, D, whatever, but just have an idea. But see how you feel after that first 5K, 3 mile, whatever. It's to say, half marathons are very, very much down to momentum and that side of things. It's a real good run. When you've got that momentum behind you, you feel pretty damn confident, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a real nice feeling. That's why I go back to what I was saying at the start, that's how much I've realized again how much I love the half marathon. Absolutely. Because I built that momentum up in the first 5K and it felt really nice.
And did you feel, let's just say your 10K, biggest effort you've done 10K, at the end of the 10K, the initial 5 to 10 minutes, do you feel worse than you did at the end of the half marathon, the first 5 to 10 minutes? Then first, when you first cross that line, you try after a 10, I find like after a 10K, the point I'm getting to is if I've run it really hard afterwards, then first 2 or 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you're like, and you're like, your body's like, Christ, what have you just done to me? Whereas I feel the half marathon, unless I just don't try hard enough, I feel like I did the half marathon. It's more that longevity. It's more like, it was an effort. It was hard, but you're not dying. Same as the end of a 5K at Parkway. If you really
I don't think you're trying hard enough. And I don't think, and that's not being horrible, because I don't think I tried hard enough on Sunday, because I crossed that line, not being horrible. I'd recovered by the time I got to the lady.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Is I feel that that's a bonus of the half marathon.
You look at the elites when they finish a half marathon.
They're dead, are they? Knackered.
Ruined. Yeah. They cross over and they're like, Jesus. Yeah, they'll recover quick because they're fit. But they come through that and they're like hands on knees, whatever. I went through, got a glass. Yeah, all right, I couldn't talk, but I went and got a glass of water pretty quickly in a banana, and I commented the lady and said, "Thank you very much."
Yeah. No,
so
I'm the same on the half, and I do feel like that. So yeah, again, maybe that is.
It's because we don't have the confidence because of the distance. It's a great distance, but to go all out in a half, it's hard, man.
It's risky. Hard. It's, as you said, it's still a long way. We're all blasé, aren't we? But it's still.
But that's why I love them, and that's why I go back to what I said at the start. That's why I got so much enjoyment out of that race, because I was geeking out about the strategy, about going within myself. Do I go now? Not go now? I got it wrong. You could argue in my own mind about when not to push. That's cool, man. That's what it's all about. Yeah. And that's the excellent thing about a half marathon. Strategy's in play, momentum's in play, all that side of things, but you can still run relatively controlled. Where with a marathon, if you did that, you'd blow up big time at mile 20 and it'd be all over. Where a half, no, you can get away with it, but again, it can ebb and flow a bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's the really cool thing with running a fast, hard half marathon. Again, relative fast, hard half marathon could be 3 hours. Yeah.
Oh, time's irrelevant. Yeah.
Exactly. So I fell back in love with the half marathon because I never fell out of love with it, but it just reminded me how much I love running half marathons.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And I think that's a brilliant way to finish the show, actually.
Absolutely.
Okay, team. I think that's it. Yeah. Good episode. Different. Not what we had on the schedule, Hayden. I'm just going to put that out there.
I'm just interested. I just want to know what I like the idea of knowing what people are thinking as they go through these distances. It's fantastic.
It is a good one, and it actually, in terms of the time, it's perfect. Yeah. We're gonna have to talk about this stuff another time. So there we go. Leave us a nice review. I think that's it. Thanks very much, Hayden. It's out as always. We'll be back next week. Don't know what's on, but I'll see you guys then. Thanks very much.